Hi everyone, this is Anna Sawyer from Trada. Thank you so much for joining us today for the Marketing Department of the Future Crowdsourcing video for SMBs. This is the final installment in our 4-part Crowdsourcing for SMBs webinar series, and we are so happy to have a couple of really great guests here today. Before we get started, I'm going to go over just a couple of logistics. First of all, this conference is being recorded, and you will get an email later today with a link to the recording and a link to the slides. Also, if you have any questions, please go ahead and type them into the chat box on your screen. We will get to as many as we possibly can at the end of the webinar. We absolutely love your questions. We love your engagement. We will answer whatever we possibly can. Next up, we would love it if you would tweet the webinar. Please use the hashtag SMBCrowdsourcing, and we will choose one tweeter at random and give them a $25 gift card to thinkgeek.com, which is a great website that has just great content, super fun, funny t-shirts and gifts and items and stuff. Please check it out. I'm very happy to introduce our guests for today. We have a couple of guys who work for companies that help you crowdsource video. First, we have Fergus Dyer-Smith, who is calling today from Portugal. Fergus, thank you so much for being here.
Hi, you're welcome. It's a pleasure to be here.
We also have today Peter LaMotte, who is the president of GeniusRocket.com, another company that makes video accessible to SMB marketers through crowdsourcing. Hi, Peter.
Hi, Anna. Thanks again for today.
And finally, we have myself. I'm Anna Sawyer. I'm the marketing manager here at Trada. Why am I helping present on this webinar? Well, I am a huge fan of video marketing. I actually am the video production team here at Trada. And I also help distribute our video content across channels. So we are going to talk a little bit later about what to do with these videos once you've created them. So everyone, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to jump right into it with just a little bit of explanation about what the deal is with video. Now, a lot of SMB marketers can find video to be daunting. There's a lot going on with video. A lot of times it's not something that anyone in-house has a lot of expertise on. And it can be perceived as a huge investment that could go, terribly awry. But today we kind of want to let you know that it's not that scary. You already know what your message is. We're going to kind of help you understand what type of content and what the benefits are, and then how you can make this accessible to you by using crowdsourcing. So first I want to kick off with a poll. If you don't mind just clicking directly onto your screen to answer these questions, how would you describe your experience with video marketing? So maybe you haven't tried video marketing yet and you're at this webinar because you want to learn more about it. You're just getting started. You've made a few videos. I think many people fall into that bucket simply because, many companies have a product video. We'll probably talk a little bit later today about how you can use the videos you already have, and how you can learn from them to determine what new type of content to create. And I would also be interested to find out who is a video marketing machine. So I'm going to give you one more second to complete this here, and let's skip to the results. So here are the results. Majority are saying we haven't tried video marketing yet, and then we see it kind of trending diagonally downward towards folks who are really sophisticated. So that's great. This is a really great mix. So let me just define what crowdsourcing means for a moment here. We here at Trada use crowdsourcing for search marketing. Peter and Fergus both use crowdsourcing to make videos accessible to marketers. Crowdsourcing is the process of handing tasks traditionally performed by one person off to a crowd of people, and this has a number of benefits. It's not dissimilar from outsourcing, but it's kind of a new idea. And you can save a lot of money. Hiring can be simplified. If you are looking to have a video made and you're just looking in your community, you may not know where to look. It may be hard to find the right person. There may not be as wide a range of talent in your community as there is when you are looking at the sort of larger scale of the crowdsourcing community, which can span basically the world. Also, when you put many minds to work on a project, you get this great diversity of thinking. And when you outsource or crowdsource, you just sort of fundamentally get fast results. So I'm going to ask you to do one more poll question. This is the last poll for today. Do you use crowdsourcing to complete tasks for your business? So if you don't mind going ahead and just clicking right on the screen. Looks like many of us are saying no here, which is great. We hope that we can help you, convince you that this could be something that could be great for your company. All right, so I'm going to move on to the first panel question, and I'd like to open this one up to Peter to start. Peter, who is from GeniusRocket, do you mind telling us what companies should use video as a part of their marketing strategy, and perhaps, more importantly, are there any companies that shouldn't?
It's a great question. I really haven't come across any company that couldn't, I'll say it that way, that couldn't use video marketing. How much they use it, to what degree, to what budget they dedicate to it is really up to them. But from the most technical widget-making companies, there are ways to, at its core, video is a better way of communicating to your clients, whether you are B2C, B2B, B2G. It's an easier way. The information that you are trying to convey is much more accessible when you do it through video. It's more entertaining, it's more engaging, and for the most part you get a much better response. And that's why you see online video going through the roof in its growth as a marketing solution.
Well, and Fergus, when I was talking with you a few weeks ago about this, you actually talked about an A/B testing study in which you explained a product using a series of pages and then also with a video. And I believe you reported 80% more accuracy when the video subjects try to explain the project. Can you talk a little bit about that, Fergus?
Yeah, well, we did it with we took like a traditional product kind of site. It was a company that had a product, and they were having difficulty explaining it to their clients, and we used them as a bit of an experiment where we kind of sent 50% of the visitors to the site off to a video and 50% off to an actual kind of traditional website, and we then asked them a series of questions following that kind of exposure. They had about 90 seconds to look at the thing, and it wasn't just the fact that they couldn't, there was an 80% increase in the accuracy of the answers. It was that some of the people couldn't actually even answer the questions that were asked. So the guys that had just looked at the website actually didn't get to the end of the questions we were asking them, whereas the guys that had watched the video, almost all of them could get towards the end, which we just found astonishing. It was kind of, for us, it was real, proof in the pudding, if you like, that the video was working as a means to get across complex, sometimes really complex messages.
Yeah, and I mean, we also talked a little bit about how, video can help humanize a company. It can give a company a sense of humor. It can really sort of add a bit of personality to a company.
And I think that's an important point for, especially small businesses where, you might see companies on the internet, who are service-based businesses, which are, a lot of the time effectively faceless, and you see yourself as a small business that is kind of thinks, well, how does that connect to me as a local-based business? And it's in those circumstances where I say video is fantastic, because it suddenly gives you the opportunity to put a face to your business and to put a personality to what you're doing. And that's where video really has shifted the way the web can work now for companies. It allows you to say, look, we are people, this is who we are, this is what we stand for, and this is physically us. You can see us and hear us. And that's the kind of the new kind of exploding part of the internet at the moment.
And I totally agree with all of this, and I think that no SMB marketer would disagree with this. But I think one of the tough questions we have to ask ourselves is, why spend time on this? I mean, especially for an SMB marketing team, which can sometimes be one person, two people, five people. Why is video, which is a time-consuming and expensive endeavor, something that we should be focusing on over other things? Peter, can you comment on this?
Well, I think the one thing is that a lot of people who are coming into video, taking a look at video now, have the preconceived notions and the belief that video is expensive based upon what it used to be, the price point that it used to be associated with. But the cost associated with video is dramatically reduced. And I think both participants on the call can reflect that. But the point is it's not just a thing. You are creating a tool that you can now implement across all of your marketing. You can use this within your social media to drive engagement. You can use it within your newsletters. You obviously want to involve it on your site. It becomes part of your sales process. So it is something that you get a lot of traction and a lot of distance out of. And when you factor that into the fact that the costs are dramatically reduced as compared to where they were even 5 years ago, it's more than just something you do. It's something that you can actually factor in to be a key part of your marketing strategy.
So I want to move on to the next panel question. What type of marketing video will get me the best results? And you know, we hear a lot about viral video. Is that worth putting money and time into? You know, branded editorial, you know, product description videos. Fergus, do you mind talking a little bit about what you see getting the best results, maybe from a B2B and a B2C perspective?
Well, it's kind of it's like the question backwards, really. I think you need to understand, you know, what you're looking to do first before you can comment on what the results are going to be. So, for example, you talked about viral there, which is, I'm sure Peter hears this all the time. You know, someone comes along and says, I want a viral video, and that's great for certain things. So if you want to produce a video that's going to be shared and spread, then often that's great for, you know, trying to get a brand out there or to get some traffic towards a specific place online. Fantastic. But if you're looking for a specific call to action, then that's not really what you want to be doing. What you want to be looking at is probably a video that's based around conversion and trying to educate your client base. So video covers so many different parts and can work in so many different ways that you really need to, and most small businesses will know this already, understand what they're trying to get out of their marketing, just like you would do with traditional websites or print or any other type of marketing. You just need to understand what it is you want to achieve, and then you can start asking the question, okay, what type of video will get me those results?
I think that's a really good point. I mean, we shouldn't think about video in any different kind of way than any other type of marketing. It should be measurable. It should be, you know, based on our successes and failures from other marketing endeavors. We should always be using what we learn across channels. You know, I think the idea of viral video can be very seductive, but Peter, in our conversation we talked a bit about taking a step back from viral video simply because it is not predictable, it can be less measurable, it is less focused around a call to action, but we did talk a little bit about how we can learn from what makes a viral video successful and then apply it to other different types of video. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. The term that I always try and use when I talk about viral video, and especially in the small to medium-sized business, there's the allure of viral video because it has this sort of perception that you will get the most bang for your buck, that you can go outside, film something hysterical with your phone, and you might end up with becoming a YouTube sensation. But it really, as Fergus said earlier, I mean, the direction really has to be led from your marketing strategy at its core. So when, as so many companies do, come to us and say we want a viral video, it's almost like saying to a film producer, let's go make an award-winning video, a film. You're talking about the end result when you should be talking about the strategy going into it. So what I always talk about is this concept of relative virality, which is if you are, going back to the example I used earlier, the widget maker for a manufacturing company, you don't care if your video goes viral within the fraternity world of colleges. They're not buying your product. If 1 million frat boys watch your video, that does nothing for your business, whereas if 1,000 of the buyers, your direct clients, watch it, that's going to drive more revenue. So I know we're going to talk about results and things like that, but you really want to set your strategy around putting your video in front of the clients that matter. Now, if you're B2C, that obviously becomes much wider. But I just can't emphasize enough, and Fergus, I'm sure, deals with this quite a bit. We're asked to speak on conference or webinars like this about marketing video and things like that, but at the core, your marketing strategy should always drive the video production and the type of video that you're going to start with, and don't go after the shiny viral video concept without having a smart strategy behind it.
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely agree. You know, with both of your sentiments that the type of video we make should be driven by what results you want. But I kind of want to push you guys to answer us with a couple of specific questions. What types, maybe the right question is, what types of videos do SMB companies often start with? So what is the jumping off point for some SMB companies that you saw them have success with?
I'll grab that if you don't mind. But it is instructional. I mean, especially in the B2B world, something that explains your business, as Fergus said from those great results of the A/B testing they did, if you have a more effective way to educate your potential clients faster and more effectively, that's where you want to start.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Fergus, can you comment?
No, I would have said exactly the same. You know, it's I would say 80% of the work that we do is companies say, I just want people to understand my business quicker, and video is the best way by a long shot of doing that. You can get your company's message, your service, your product over in like 60 seconds.
Yeah, and we've absolutely seen that. You know, here at Trada, we have a relatively complicated value proposition, you know, and there are a lot of moving parts. Crowdsourcing is a new idea, and so we not only had to explain what crowdsourcing is, but also how it helps us with paid search. You know, we found that video works, you know, better than almost anything, and, you know, our video is a kind of janky little labor of love, but it's actually worked incredibly well for us, and we have an absolutely excellent conversion rate on it, so it's really been worth it for us. So I'm going to move along to the next question, and I would like you both to answer both in a high-level kind of way, but then also specifically, because we, of course, all want to hear about the specifics. How much does it cost compared to hiring in-house or traditional agency outsourcing, or even, as Peter mentioned, as compared to how much it cost 5 years ago? Fergus, can you kick this one off?
You know, let's say on our site it works differently on different places, but ours is, you know, completely self-serve, so we don't have some of the stuff that GeniusRocket have, the extra services. But, you know, you can range. People are producing kind of explainer videos for their websites from, you know, starting at $500. But, you know, so that the price point has dropped tremendously. You know, it's dropped in the past, I'd say 5 years, by, you know, maybe a factor of 10, if not more. And there's a key reason for that, and that's, you know, the cost of acquiring equipment and using software to produce this material has come down so dramatically. So what you're getting now is a group of people that have been animators since they were 13, 14, 12 maybe, and they're amazingly skilled, and they're doing it for the love of it. So these guys are kind of there and looking for projects to work on, and you can tap into that kind of talent base thanks to sites like GeniusRocket and ours. And you know, that's what's kind of brought the price point down, but the quality stays the same.
Yeah, this is an excellent point, and I always want to point this out about almost any form of crowdsourcing. Yeah, you're saving money because you're, you know, paying only for like a specific certain time of work, but the hiring process, the simplified hiring process, I can't even stress enough how much this will save you such a headache and save you money too. I mean, if you're working with a crowdsourcing company, you know, you normally don't have to sign contracts, you don't have to buy a desk for this person, you know, and these people are being paid fairly as well. I mean, they're doing this by choice. So the costs can be cut just so immensely just by having access to a marketplace where you can choose the right person or people who are right for your project. So, Peter, you have a different model over there at GeniusRocket. So can you talk a little bit about how much it costs to have a video made, and maybe like you could even kind of put this in the context of a little story about a little company that wants a video?
Yeah, I'll just take a quick step back, and I promise I'll be as non-self-serving as possible, but just to explain why we are different than Wooshii. We essentially try and blend the benefits of crowdsourcing along with the benefits of the agency. So we've sort of merged those two together. So we are not a self-serve. You don't sign up and just post a project and look for results. We we have vetted our community, so everyone there is, we've sort of gone through and made sure that they are of quality, and then it's a step-by-step process, which means it goes from script to storyboard to production. Now, I say that all for the purpose of people are typically looking at us versus going to an agency. And if that is the case, it doesn't even matter what it was 5 years ago. Currently, at any given moment, we can be from a quarter to a tenth of the cost of a traditional agency or even a local boutique agency. So when we work with small companies, we are typically finding that people are looking at us and saying, you know I'd like to go to an agency. I don't want to blast this out on a contest because contests have great value. I'm not taking anything away from them. You get a lot of content for very little cost, and then you just buy the one that works for you. Our model is sort of American Idol. You get a bunch of ideas and narrow it down. So comparatively, you're looking at small companies that are going to their local agency, and that local agency is just going to give you one idea. But they are typically, like I said, at least 3 to 4 times more expensive. If you go crazy one day and decide to call up a major agency, as a small company, you're looking at anywhere, sometimes 10 times more. And that, as Fergus said, that has come down. I mean, it used to be even more drastic. But the bigger point is these options, such as GeniusRocket and Wooshii, they just weren't around 5 years ago, and no one had heard about it. And just the term crowdsourcing alone, whenever we would talk, and we started in 2007, whenever we would talk to people, you just got this confused look. So it's really the cost savings today that you get by going to crowdsourcing that's so important. So
yeah,
I'm sorry, I didn't give you the little story.
Oh, yeah. Well, I am going to ask you to be specific. Like, I mean, how much is it going to cost for me to have my 2-minute, 60-second, how my product works video made?
Oh, that's so painful after Fergus said $500.
I have to admit, we don't get that many at 500.
But no, our price point for a vetted process from 20 concepts down to storyboards to one final 2-minute video from an established animation house is around $10,000. And
I think we can agree that, I mean, obviously the whole point of having, options is so you can have options, right? So,
right.
I mean, you're going to get a sort of, different result. But I think, it's powerful that, you can do it for a fraction of the cost, and also that, because you're using crowdsourcing, you have this great diversity of artists, of videographers, of, animators, and so you have, if you go to an agency, they're going to be like, okay, here's the guy who's going to do your movie, right? Like, they're going to choose for you. So I think it's great that you have, it's very democratic. Anyway, I'm going to move along because this actually goes along with some of the questions we've been getting in here. A lot of people are concerned about quality, and they're concerned that it's going to be more work than it's worth to have to constantly make sure that you're getting exactly what you want. So can we talk a little bit about how to, from the very beginning, ensure that you have your dream realized when you are crowdsourcing video? Fergus, do you mind kicking this one off?
Yeah. Well, from the way we look at it, it's no different to the way you deal with quality now. So if you are going to go and get a logo designed or a brochure kind of put together, then you'll have a process that you go through with that creative where you've got to give them a brief. You make sure that you're in constant contact with them. They'll send you proofs, and the whole time you're working with that creator to ensure that at the end you get what you're after. And it's the same with crowdsourcing. The only difference really is that there can be an enormous distance between you and the creative. So you just have to ensure that you go through the same process and that you have those kind of checks in place. So a really good brief. You're very clear about what you're looking for. You're in constant contact. So if they ask you a question, you answer the question, and you just you manage it in that way. And obviously, platforms like ours and GeniusRocket have mechanisms there to enable you to do that. So whether it be commenting systems or whatever it might be, to ensure that there's a public record of what you're doing. But it's, to all intents and purposes, it's the same. It's just that your choice is dramatically increased, and you've got a kind of a crowd of people that can effectively work on your project rather than just the couple of few guys that you happen to know locally.
So basically what we're saying here is it's exactly the same as working with someone who works for your company, except that it's way, way cheaper. You approach it in the same way, and you have more options. That sounds pretty good.
I guess the way we look at it is that you're essentially just dealing with in our case, you're dealing with a creative person that you're looking to bring to life whatever message or brand that you are trying to communicate. And you have to go through exactly the same process as you would normally do that with any other type of creative person. I guess with GeniusRocket, you've got the added benefit of having an agency to help you do that. So I'm sure Peter will fill you in on that, but that's our view on it.
Awesome. So, Peter, I want to give you a chance to respond, although I have a theory that your response may be incredibly similar. Just have a creative brief and keep in contact.
Yeah, I mean, at its core, the strategic creative brief is the most important thing. I will, however, say, because we used to be a contest site, our philosophy on how you get exactly what you want, as the slide asks, in our model is stages. And that's why our model is a little bit different from Wooshii, which is, yes, there's that overlay of the agency, and you have someone who says, look, I know these 5 artists. I'm going to make sure that these animation houses or these production companies or these copywriters participate because they know your business, and that's the added value that Fergus was talking about. But on top of that, that stage. So when I show you 20 pitches of this, let's say, viral video that they want to create, let's narrow it down. Let's do feedback. The model might be different. Our philosophy is you're going to get exactly what you want by narrowing it down, because at the end, you don't want 40 videos, you want 1 video. So why don't we just narrow down to that 1? But you're right. Communication and a strategic creative brief, whichever path you choose, have to be part of that. And the nice prize at the end.
And a nice prize at the end. So I prematurely advanced the slides so we can all tell what we're going to talk about next. All right, I'm an SMB marketer. You guys have made a video for me. Now, what am I going to do with that content to make sure that I get the most out of my investment? Fergus, do you mind talking just a little bit about what, do you do any consultation on what people should do with their videos? Do you ever see, your company creating a great video and then it just sort of going off into the void? How do we prevent this? How do we make sure we get every last possible penny out of our investment?
So there's a number of things that you can do. Obviously, we have a couple of bolt-on services at the end once people have produced videos around, video seeding and how they should be using that piece of content. But I think Peter alluded to this at the start and right at the start of the webinar, and that's it's looking at all those channels that you already have and seeing how video fits into that. So obviously you've got your own website, then you've got kind of video sharing sites such as YouTube that we all know. You've obviously then got your social channels, which you're probably doing work through. You've got on the ground, so a lot of guys or people that are using our service will take that video, and their sales guys that are on the road may well have that on their iPad. And it's a perfect entry to a sales meeting if you've got a 60-second demo that gets over the kind of what you do while you're face to face. So it's looking at all those different channels and seeing how you might use it. The content may have some educational value which can be passed out through not only your own kind of blogs but other people's. So I think it partly depends on the content that you've produced, but once you have it, there's so much you can do with it, and it goes on for a long time.
One thing that's great about video is the video is made for sharing. People who are not marketers share videos. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about specifically YouTube. YouTube promoted videos has been around for a while. This is basically AdWords for video, and now there is AdWords for video. So just to be clear, this is a way that you can place your video on YouTube and allow it to be shown either next to other videos that you can choose, so sort of like display advertising, or you can have it be shown for keywords. So for example, here at Trada we use YouTube promoted videos. we target keywords just as we would in AdWords. It's very much like paid search or like display advertising. And then we actually pay for clicks. So very, very recently, AdWords released AdWords for video, which is different in a few ways. It has everything within your AdWords account, which was something of an issue before. One thing that about YouTube promoted videos is that it was in its relative infancy, even though it had been around for a while. And so clicks are just crazy, crazy cheap. Like, you know, you may have a keyword that you're spending $2 or $3 for in AdWords, but your click on would be just a few cents. So a lot of people didn't get into this because, again, they had that issue with video creation. But I just can't recommend it enough. It's definitely worth getting. And the new AdWords for video has created a lot of new cool reporting options. It makes things a lot easier. You can now place videos in your ads on Google, like in your paid search ads. So there's a lot going on in that space. Peter, can you talk a little bit about some specific examples of the ways that that companies have used your videos? Maybe
Sure.
Product descriptions. One of the reasons I actually put the Twitter contest gift card as thinkgeek.com is because they actually use videos in their product descriptions, which I think is super cool. So Peter, can you talk a little bit about specific ways your customers use their videos and how they distribute them?
Absolutely. So we do a whole range of, even when I say this, including small to medium-sized business, doing regional TV spots all the way down to very simple demos on their site. One that comes to mind, because we're in Washington, D.C., they were sort of cause-related. And one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is the categories within YouTube, that if you get a certain number of views, you will go to the top of those categories. And if, just like you do for SEO, you find your sort of niche terminology, that it's not that hard to get to the top. So, for example, this was an association in Washington, D.C. that it took some work, and I'll quickly say how they did it, but with 70,000 views, they were in the #1 video in YouTube under the political topic section. So what they did is they went to a distribution service that we handle for them, and were able to place this in social media outlets, meaning if any of you have played Farmville and things like that, that you have to click a video to get, some points. Or I apologize, I don't play Farmville, but I know you get something for watching a video. So they did that to generate a good number of those views. They also, once again, just like your SEO strategy, just putting it on YouTube properly tagged, it's amazing how easy you can be the #1, 2, or 3 video just by making sure that your SEO tag to that video is what you want to be associated with. So if you type in curated crowdsourcing, which is the terminology that we use around our model, you're going to find videos about GeniusRocket. So if you are the widget maker for that manufacturing piece and anyone types in anything associated with that particular manufacturing process, you want to be associated with the top of that. So going back to the actual specifics, they went just along their marketing strategy, and they integrated that video, the YouTube link specifically. So they didn't put it on 20 different platforms. They went to YouTube so that all the traffic was going to one source. And they used that video on their homepage, on their email links. They used it on Facebook. They used it within their newsletters. And then generally at all their events, they made sure that this video was being watched on YouTube, branded on YouTube, so people thought, I go to YouTube to find this video. And within the matter of 3 weeks, they were the #1 spot in the political section of YouTube. So it once again goes back to what we've said multiple times, and we just can't, bang the drum loud enough, which is video is part of your marketing strategy. It is not a standalone marketing strategy. So you just have to make sure that you now have this amazing tool, which is video, and incorporate it back into your entire strategy.
First of all, I don't think you should have to apologize for not playing Farmville. But yeah. This is a really, again, excellent point that we keep driving home. Yes, it should be a part of everything you do, and if you make it a part of everything you do, that is how you will make it successful. So I did want to do one very tactical pro tip here for a second. For your video SEO strategy, one of the best ways to build out your SEO strategy is simply to place a transcript directly into the box where you can put a description, because nothing could be better SEO optimized than literally a transcript of the video. Make sure in the first line you say that it's a video. Say, in this video, because non-video search engines like Google can't actually, they can't read that it's a video. So it's definitely important to do that. Another tidbit, did you know that YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world? Definitely worth thinking about. So I'm going to go ahead and skip this last question because I think, frankly, we covered this, and move on to just really quickly, I'm going to pitch a webinar that we have coming up next week because it's going to be really, really great. And then we'll go to the questions. So next Wednesday, we are really, really excited to have Brad Geddes, who is one of only 2 Google-approved AdWords seminar leaders. He is just like the AdWords genius. If you guys are interested in paid search marketing, this guy is kind of the go-to guy. He wrote Advanced Google AdWords, and he will be joining us next Wednesday for a really great webinar on building the ultimate lead form. And specifically a conversion-centric lead form. I was just looking at the slides earlier today, and he basically has taken specific examples and completely torn them apart and said, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. These are huge mistakes that we are all making. I was taking a look at our lead form and thinking to myself, I should probably go to this webinar that I'm co-hosting. Anyway, if you are interested in being automatically signed up for our webinar series, which will include this excellent webinar with superstar Brad Geddes, please go ahead and type sign me up right into the chat box. Seems like many of you are very into this. So let's move on to the questions. Guys, we've had a lot of really, really great questions from you. Please continue to type them into your chat box, and we will get to as many as we possibly can. So I'm just going to kick off here, and this is a truly excellent question. I'm gonna channel this one to Peter to start with. This is from Mike. He says, how do you build a business case for video? Peter, do you mind starting?
Yeah. So how do you sell the CEO that we need to put money towards it? Is that
how do you say this? I know I'm a young kid with a lot of crazy ideas, but this one really will work.
I think there are a host of examples out there. One, I'm going back to, it's a little bit old, but if you think your business isn't sort of sexy enough for video, which I think a lot of maybe old school management might be afraid of, there is a video out there, and I'm hoping I'm going to get the name right, but I think it's The Singing Accountant, and it went viral, and it literally was CPA software. I mean, it doesn't get any less sexier than that. And it was a small shop that created this video of this really geeky accountant who sang this song about Sarbanes-Oxley. That's the name of the song. Sorry, it just popped into my head. It's like Happy Birthday Sarbanes-Oxley. Check it out. It is weird. It is geeky, and it is catchy, the little tune, and it did amazing wonders for their sales. So really find the examples that fit your industry, and it's all about education. The one thing that I would say is that there are so many examples of different industries that have really taken off. Small companies leapfrog their competitors just because videos explain their model better than anything that a larger competitor had out there.
Wow, that's really powerful. And guys, we'll add a link to that video in our follow-up email so you can make sure to get that.
Anna, I did a talk on this, which is video, and if they want the link to that, I can send that. There's a host. I did about 10 examples of businesses that have used it in different ways and had amazing impact.
That would be absolutely great. We're actually getting a lot of people asking for specific examples. So guys, if you will, email me after the webinar the links that you'd like to share, we will absolutely include them in the follow-up email. So everyone, you will get those. So I'm going to ask Fergus to answer this one because I believe it was in response to him talking about young, talented creators. Robert wants to know, is there not a danger that with talented young creators, you may get a great, say, animation from an animation point of view, but not necessarily with any marketing, audience, brand intelligence that comes from more experienced teams?
Absolutely. And you have to kind of ask yourself the question when you're looking for these creators, are they the type of person that you want delivering your or producing your content? But it's exactly the same process as if you were doing that in kind of the real world, so to speak. So in the real world, let's say take the internet away, and without a site like Wooshii, you would, if you're going in cold, you're going to ring 4 or 5 companies up, ask them to send you some material, see what they've done before, and make some assessment based on the information that they send you. If you haven't got a recommendation. With sites like Wooshii, you're going through exactly the same process, but you've got hundreds and thousands of people to choose from. You've got peer review. You've got portfolios you can look at. So you're going through the same process of trying to determine who's going to work on your project. You've just got more data to work with. And in some circumstances, you're going to be going in with a very clear idea as to what you want and exactly how you want it delivered. And in that case, a kind of 17-year-old kid who's gone through college and is great could be perfect because you're just asking them to deliver something. In another circumstance, you may want some advice and some information around how's the best way to deliver your message and, information around where you want to put your key points and that type of thing, in which case you're going to be looking for a creative that's on the same system that has more experience and perhaps has a much bigger portfolio of work with clients that are closer to your business. So I think the question's a valid one, but again, it's one of those where there's not a huge amount of difference between the way we work today and the way we've always worked.
And if I could just jump in, to add to that. I mean, obviously, our model is we take care of that on the front end. But one little sort of side trick that we incorporate into our model that anyone, I think, could use, even using Wooshii while you're in process, is essentially, and there are professional companies out there, CrowdTap is one of them. But one of the things that we offer is when you have copywriters and creative directors pitching ideas to you, you can actually crowdsource the opinion of that. So get real-time feedback from exactly who you want. So to apply that to the contest model, go to a few of your best customers and say, we have these 5 concepts that we're thinking about going with. Which one do you think resonates better with you? It's once again tapping into the same way all the marketing tools that you have used throughout your career, such as focus groups maybe, or just reaching out to people and find out, because you may have, to the point of the question, a brilliant animator who just misses the point altogether on the scripting. So you want to make sure that even a less than perfect animation, if it's dead on to the message that needs to be delivered to your client, that's more important. No one's going to not buy your product because you didn't come across looking like a Disney animated video.
And I think that's, this is all great, and I think we put a lot of things in place to make sure that we have the best chance at having success. But this is actually a question from Darren. Are there any revisions allotted to the final video product? So I know from being a erstwhile videographer for hire that it doesn't matter how much storyboarding you do or how much rough cuts you do. The final cut is not always exactly what you think it's going to be. Sometimes the execution is not there, the timing is off, but the creator has put all this work into it. What happens when the advertiser says, "No, I hate it. I want you to redo it"? How does that work? Fergus?
Well, that's never happened to us, and I think partly this is actually a kind of feature of crowdsourcing generally, I think, and that is it's a unique situation. This is the one time where we differ from the real world, and that is that the money generally that is held for a project is held in a kind of by a middleman. So what that means is you don't normally get this in a situation where normally when you do a deal, one person has the kind of power. So if I'm the client and I order a video and you start working on the video and I haven't paid you anything, then I kind of have the power because now you're committed into this project, and if I start fooling around, then you've got to make a decision as to whether you do any more, or whether you stop, or what you do. If it's the other way, where I've paid you some money already, then the power then kind of shifts over to the creative, and they can kind of effectively, they've got this cash, and they can kind of now say, well, we're not doing any more revisions. We said we wouldn't, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a kind of power imbalance. What you get with crowdsourcing is the money gets held in a kind of trust account, or it does with Wooshii anyway. So both parties are now aiming towards a successful conclusion. So the creative needs to get paid and wants to get paid. So they're going to work towards whatever it is that you want. So as you're going through the process, you've got revisions going on the whole time. The same goes for the buyer. They've now paid the money out. So they're keen to get the product because that money's dead, until they actually get the finished article. So both parties are now fully focused on completion. And I think that creates a situation where you're revising the whole time. You're constantly looking at it. And this comes back to what we were saying earlier. Stay in communication because, animations are a lot of work and you can't get right to the end and just say, we hate it. So, you work with the creative in the process as you go forward. I hope that answers the question. I mean, it's slightly off topic, but I think it's a good point.
From GeniusRocket, we do a lot of live action as well. And the fact of the matter is you can't reshoot. You can't go back to the sunny day where the clouds are in the right position and all those kinds of things and reshoot. So communication is key. Once again, that's why we go from concept to storyboard to pre-production call to production for live action. But to Fergus's point, with animation, you can go back and remove a character from animation. With our model, because we do have that agency overlay, once again, it's never happened because that's what we're there for, to provide that privacy and creative guardrails. And it's something that is important. I mean, there's a danger from when we were in the contest models of having people aggravated when money is held aside. But I think because of our model, and it's a little bit different because there's benefits to both, when you have professional animation houses and artists that have worked with brands before, and you can see that work, there's a professionalism that is inherent with the system that is guaranteed. They're not going to hijack your brands. Hello.
Please stand by.
Hello.
We've lost the connection with Miss Sawyer.
well, Fergus, is there anything you want to add? Well, I guess we'll run the call right now, ladies and gentlemen.
I was going to say, perhaps we could just fully pick. Now, it's interesting, I think, in what you're saying as well, though, around the idea of, your model and our model. Is this Anna back?
Yeah, there's
yes, I'm back.
Difference.
Hey, guys,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not quite sure what happened. So keep going. What are you guys currently talking about?
So I was just saying that the interesting difference between our model and GeniusRocket is that they are just mainly self-serve. It's not a true kind of crowdsourced contest in that no one's going to send you finished work. Everyone's kind of competing really based on portfolios and ideas. But like I said, as of yet, we're yet to have a project that's gone wrong. And I think this is a kind of a part of the way crowdsourcing works, which is a lot of this stuff is open, it's up front, and it's held in a kind of all the information and the details that have gone on around a project are held in such a way that other people can look at it and say, look, we can see exactly what's been going on. There's no confusion here about what you asked for, and this is what's been delivered. So I think the issues that you can get with a traditional company that you're just firing emails back and forth to kind of get reduced in these kind of circumstances.
I think that's a really powerful, statement. You're saying you haven't had a lot of problems, so it does mean that those mechanisms that you put in place, are working really well for you. So that's really great. Thanks for holding down the fort for me, guys. It looks like our connection got disconnected. So we're running a little short on time. I'm going to take one more question. This one is from Darren. He says, what's the most successful industry each of you have had so far in crowdsourcing videos? And if you'd like to give some specific examples, once again, we will add them in the follow-up email. Peter, do you mind starting?
Wow. Well, we're a little biased. I mean, we're in Washington, D.C., so we've done a lot of political stuff, and we've done association and cause marketing. We've done wow, was not prepared for that. So the most successful industry or the most successful video we've had?
It says industry, but you could also say video.
Well, let's just be honest. It's a lot, even though we talked about the best entry point for a small to medium-sized business is a educational video, those often aren't the ones that go, that really take off by that definition. So I guess successful is a relative statement. I'm sure you can look at some of the work that we've done around product explanations as more successful because of the revenue that it's generated. However, what we've done for like packaged goods companies that have literally gone from obscurity to, due to their, come buy our product video that they've placed or we've placed for them, consumer packaged goods just do really well now that you can essentially get a TV quality commercial, at least for us, that's what we stand by, is that you will get agency quality product at a freelance price. And the point is, when you're a small little business selling your product and now all of a sudden you have a TV-ready commercial or something that you can put across the internet, a packaged goods company or a product company always works really, really well.
I would argue that revenue from from a sort of how it works video is perhaps a better indicator of success than simple virality. I believe in measuring your results.
No
but I'm not quite sure what Darren's specific question was. Fergus, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I mean, if I take the question right, the industry that we've had the most success with, for example, is the tech industry. I mean, we get, I would say 75% of our business is small startups or even larger tech companies that need to explain what the service that they offer online, and they use video to do that. And that, we get hundreds of those. We have also had the other side of it would be we're doing a lot of work within the biotech world. So, that tends to be focused around very technical products. So you can see the range in terms of the types of videos that we're producing. But I would say the majority of people that are coming through our site or using Wooshii tend to be kind of tech startups that just want to get explain their product really quickly.
Great. So I said I would only do one more question, but I really want to ask this one too. I think you can both do a very brief answer for this one. Matthew wants to know, what is the average lead time for the creation of a 1-minute video/animation project? So I'm a company. I want a video. How soon from right now can I have it? Peter?
Through our process of you will get pitched, say, 10 to 15 ideas. You will then select, say, 3 to get storyboards from, and then it will be produced and you will have a final video. For animation and live action, so for live action it's 30 days. For animation it's usually around 35 days on average is our turnaround time.
Okay, great. And of course a lot of this depends on you, right? Your responses, you not taking forever.
Clients
by you I mean the customer.
Yeah, they're the ones that slow it up, no question.
Yeah, I'm sure. And Fergus?
Well, we're very similar. Essentially, from the moment you actually pick the creators that you want to work with, so there's obviously a kind of period of time where the project is out there and people are pitching for the chance to work on the project. But from the moment you've actually chosen someone, you're looking at around, if you've got your script ready, around 3 to 4 weeks is the kind of average, just under 30 days.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. That is one heck of a short production time.
Anna, we just wrapped up a national TV ad that we did in like 14 days. And that's that whole entire process. So And I'm sure it's the same case with Fergus. I mean, when we were in the open contest world, things happen really quickly if you put a lot more money towards it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's interesting. I believe it.
And I think that's a fair point on our side, is that, the more funds that you put towards projects, because obviously with our site you're choosing your kind of budget size, the more attention you get, and people will push themselves.
Yep. Great. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Folks, if you had questions that we did not get to, we will be attempting to answer as many of these as possible after the webinar and posting them on the landing page you went to sign up for the webinar. So please check for that in a few days. We really enjoyed having you. Thank you so much. If you are interested in being signed up for our webinar series, please type "sign me up" directly into the chat box, and we will get you into the webinar series, which will include the Brad Geddes webinar on next Wednesday. Fergus, thank you so much for being here. We really enjoyed having you. And Peter, thank you so much for coming in and representing GeniusRocket. This was a really great panel, and we loved having you.
It was a real pleasure.
Everyone, please. Oh, thank you, Peter. Everyone, thank you so much for coming. And you will get an email later today with a link to the slides and a recording. And this is the end of the webinar.